Luna gently lifted a corner of the duvet, choosing the outer side of the bed to lie down, leaving the space against the wall for Cole. The comforter was light yet warm, just like the one he had bought her a month ago, only wider. She lay with her dark, shimmering eyes wide open, curiously taking in the room. The large bay window was easily big enough for a person to lounge on. Once the weather warmed up, she imagined, it would be the perfect spot to curl up with a book and a cushion. The sound of the shower running in the bathroom filled the air, and for some reason, Luna felt a profound sense of peace. It was something akin to the feeling of home, a sensation she hadn't truly known since her father passed away and her mother remarried. Suddenly, the water shut off. Luna's heart leaped, and a wave of nervousness washed over her. She burrowed deeper under the covers. He's coming. He's coming. Cole walked out of the bathroom, his expression a mask of calm that betrayed a heart hammering at 100 beats per minute. All he could see in the bed was a cascade of black hair fanned out across the pillow. The rest of her was hidden. But why is she on the outside? It didn't matter. This wasn't important. A grin spread across his face. Here I come, he whispered, feeling like the big bad wolf from a fairy tale. The person under the covers didn't make a sound, but seemed to shrink even further into the bedding. Cole climbed onto the bed, happily clambering over to the inside, and slipped into the already fragrant sheets. He suddenly realized he probably didn't need to change the bedding after all. They used the same body wash. The shampoo was different, though. Okay, better safe than sorry. A thorough hair inspection is required. Cole, the ever-cautious, smirked to himself and shifted a little closer. He plunged his head under the covers, as if searching for buried treasure, and found her. She was curled into a tight ball, arms crossed over her chest. As he drew nearer, her breathing grew rapid and shallow, a sweet, fruity scent washing over his face. At first, Cole had been curious about that taste. He'd wondered if it was her toothpaste, but he'd since discovered she used mint. This was all her. It must be, he mused, a sign of how pure she was on the inside. Jasmine and Serena were the same way. You haven't turned off the light, Luna whispered, her eyelashes fluttering. Her heart pounded at the thought of what would happen when the room went dark. I'll get it, Cole said, quickly reaching out from under the covers to flick the switch on the headboard. A part of him didn't want to. The view was much better with the lights on. The room plunged into darkness. Luna instantly felt a wave of relief. The person beside her began to inch closer again, a thief trying to steal a bell while plugging his own ears. Finally, he was right there. They could feel each other's breath. Lou. MMM. Cole extended his left arm, but the inexperienced Luna didn't understand the gesture at first. It was only when his arm slid beneath her neck that she got the hint, tilting her head back to rest in the crook of his elbow. Lou, that pajama top is pretty thick. You're gonna get hot. Cole deployed the classic line. Luna bit her lip, silent for a moment. Then, with a soft rustle, the pajama top landed on the nightstand. She settled back into his arm. Cole's heart went wild. His other hand snaked around, pulling her into his embrace. It was the first time they had ever been this close. Luna didn't dare move, her face burning. Her hands remained a barrier over her chest. To ease her nerves, Cole started talking, making small talk about anything and everything. As they chatted, their lips somehow found each other. The sweet, fruity taste was intoxicating. He kissed her until they were both breathless, reluctantly pulling away from her soft lips only to peck them twice more, savoring the sweetness. Then he dove his head back under the covers. Luna hid her face in her hands, mortified. Lou. Cole's voice was shaky, his eyes fixed on her. Luna knew what was coming. She just kept her face covered, unable to look, unable to answer. She felt 2 warm drops land on her stomach and had a bad feeling. She pulled her hands away from her face and gasped. Oh my God, you're having another nosebleed. For Luna, Cole's nosebleed was far more important than anything else. Forgetting her shyness and the cold, she scrambled out from under the covers and grabbed the box of tissues she kept on her nightstand. Tissues she prepared in case she caught a cold. Really? Seeing her get up like that, the nosebleed only intensified. Cole cupped his hands to catch the blood, trying to keep it off the sheets. He was kneeling there, hands outstretched, looking like a beggar in a strange and embarrassing pose. Luna couldn't help but cover her mouth to stifle a giggle. Cole gave a sheepish grin, his toes nearly digging a hole in the mattress. After the blood was cleaned up and his hands were washed, the bed fell silent again. Cole had 2 wads of tissue stuffed up his nostrils. But a true warrior does not retreat from the battlefield just because of a little blood. After a brief pause, Cole the scoundrel snuggled closer. Brother, in the pitch-black room, a low cry escaped Luna's lips one she desperately hoped no one could hear, punctuated by the faint glow of a phone screen occasionally peeking through a gap in the covers. The long night was an eternity, and yet it was over in a flash. The first light of dawn traced the edge of the curtains. Luna had been awake for a while, her head buried in Cole's chest as she feigned sleep. It had been the most insane night of her life. An intimacy she hadn't dared to imagine. Her lips were swollen from kissing, to say nothing of everything else. The memory alone was enough to make her blush. Her heart was now completely tied to the man in front of her. Cole didn't wake up until 8. They had stayed up far too late. He'd used up nearly the entire box of tissues wiping his own drool, worried the dampness would make the little kitten catch cold. "Brother, we should get up. We have class today," Luna murmured, her face pressed against his chest, listening to the steady thump of his heart. She didn't dare make any unnecessary movements, afraid of provoking another round of his relentless teasing. But the words had barely left her mouth before it was too late. Cole grunted in agreement, but showed no signs of actually getting out of bed. On a morning like this, with someone so fragrant beside him, sleeping in was the only logical choice. They cuddled for a while longer. Even though they hadn't gone all the way for a dog like Cole who'd seen a share of the world, this was a different kind of thrill. "My darling Luna, you're going to have to tutor me for the next few days," Cole said with immense willpower after they had finished their breakfast. He had no choice. He was falling too far behind, and finals were just around the corner. Some of his general education classes overlapped with the accounting departments, and others with the law schools. One tutor for each subject, he thought. Luna's lips curled into a smile. The words, "my darling Luna," were like glass marbles, bouncing around inside her heart, making it sing. She was ecstatic. Okay. She knew Cole skipped class often, which sounded bad, but she understood it was about making choices. If he didn't skip, he would never have time to get so much done. Her only regret was that she couldn't help him more. Just then, Cole's phone rang. The phone, which had served him so well last night, was on the nightstand by Luna's side. She reached out a slender, pale arm and handed it to him. Cole glanced at the screen. It was Wyatt. "Hey man, Cole, you need to get to the office now. Someone poached Will. We're being targeted." A knot formed in Cole's stomach. It was finally happening, and sooner than he'd expected. The success of Headline Today in the University District was bound to attract wolves. And now, they were here. Will had been the last programmer to join the engineering team, a pretty sharp kid. "I'm on my way." "Cole, I'm so sorry. I'm the one who hired him. This is my responsibility," Wyatt said, his voice heavy with guilt. "It's not your fault, Wyatt. People change. We just have to focus on what we're doing," Cole said, trying to reassure him. Even the tech titans of the future couldn't avoid having their people poached. Who was Cole to think he was any different? "But don't worry," Wyatt continued. "Will wasn't exposed to much. The core architecture is still in the hands of me, Jenna, Marcus, and Leo. He was only responsible for the web crawlers that populate the news feed and the trending data framework. At most, he knows how we do things, but he won't be able to replicate it quickly, even if he finds people." "Okay, we'll talk more when I get there." Cole breathed a sigh of relief. Wyatt was reliable. The high salary had been worth it. After he hung up, Luna looked at him with concern. She had overheard parts of the call and knew someone had jumped ship. How could someone be so ungrateful? She thought, Cole pays so well. "My darling Luna, you should get some more sleep." "I gotta go to the office," Cole said as he got up and started dressing. "I'm not sleepy. I'll go with you." There was no way Luna was going to stay here alone. Hiding under the covers, she shyly put on her bra and had Cole hand her the rest of her clothes. Cole pulled out a new toothbrush for her. After they both washed up, they went out for breakfast together. When they arrived at the office, the atmosphere was heavy. There was an empty desk in the engineering department. "What's with all the long faces? It's not like the world is ending. We're on a roll." Cole joked. Poaching was a normal part of the game. He'd done it himself when he ran his own companies. In the business world, you poach me, I poach you. Still, he was very interested in who was behind this, who had the foresight to target him. He gave Wyatt a look, and the two of them headed for the small conference room, only to find it occupied. Cole had the content moderators and customer service team from 1521 temporarily relocate to 1520. "Cole, I need to own up to this. It was a failure of my judgment," Wyatt said, standing and giving a deep bow. They had just started this venture, and just as things were about to blossom, this happened. He was blaming himself completely. "It's a small thing," Cole said, waving it off. "Tell me about Will. I met him at a student government event a while back. He seemed like a solid guy, from a decent family. The only thing that's changed recently is he got a girlfriend." "A girlfriend?" Cole raised an eyebrow. Could the other side have sent a honey trap? It was the most likely possibility. In the world of corporate poaching, There were two main tools. For the greedy, you throw money. For the lustful, you throw women. And where did the women come from? There was no shortage of aspiring actresses, or those without formal training, but plenty of natural talent, who were willing to play a part. Hell, you could get the old lady from the corner store to act out a whole drama for the right price, let alone a professional. Finding someone to take the job was easy. They get paid by the target and by the client. Why wouldn't they do it? They'd deliver an Oscar-worthy performance, completely dazzling the mark. Cole had even orchestrated it himself in his past life. He met a girl at a massage parlor who had a real gift for it. A paralyzed husband, a brother in school, a baby crying for milk. She could spin a tale that made you want to be the hero. She was a natural. He'd hired her, and she'd successfully compromised the other company's operations manager. It wasn't a poach, though, but a demolition. The woman had even managed to rise from the ashes, using the money Cole gave her to open a convenience store. According to her Facebook, she got married less than a year later. Some lucky guy. When used correctly, they were as effective as Mystique from X-Men. Yeah, I've never met her, but I saw her on his Facebook. She's pretty, but not on the level of our director of operations or our CFO, Wyatt said, smoothly slipping a compliment. The flattery landed perfectly, and Cole mentally devoured it. Right, don't worry about it. I'll get a lawyer to handle this. Cole's brow relaxed. A non-compete agreement can stop an honorable person, but not a scoundrel. The other party could get around it. All Cole wanted was the compensation paid in full. He was curious to see just how much the other side was willing to spend on Will. The smarter they were, the less they'd want to spend. After Wyatt went back to work, Cole considered his legal options. Serena wasn't ready for this yet. Just as he was thinking of her, his phone rang. Hey, Cole. Serena's signature greeting always had a playful, lilting tone at the end, not quite whiny, but melodic, like a daughter calling for her father. What's up, baby? Cole said, the image of having a daughter, someday, flashing through his mind. Cole, why did you call me baby? Serena's voice on the other end was full of surprise, quickly followed by pure joy. Cole could practically picture her eyes crinkling into crescents, a huge smile on her face. He grinned shamelessly. Well, aren't you my baby? The term baby was used universally by couples. Its origin was lost to time. It just seemed to have appeared one day. Eventually, it got shortened to just babe. But this was the first time Cole had ever used it. In his past life, he was too much of a simp to use it, and after he'd turned to the dark side, he didn't want to. If everyone was your babe, did the word even mean anything? He just called them you. Ugh, better not to dwell on the past. Cole shook the thoughts from his head. He heard Serena's sweet voice. Cole, I love it when you call me that. I love it so much. I want to be your baby. Okay, my good little baby. Having just feasted on his ultimate fantasy last night, Cole was feeling particularly shameless. Serena giggled on the other end, a sound like a flower blooming. After a moment, she seemed to remember why she'd called. Cole, I saw in the group chat. Do you need a lawyer? I can't help you yet, but I can find you a top lawyer. Oh, you know a top lawyer? Cole was intrigued. To be called a top lawyer was no small thing. I know someone who knows a top lawyer. Should I contact him for you? Serena asked. Will he even help, baby? Cole figured it was a minor issue, not something a big-shot lawyer would bother with. Don't worry. He'll definitely arrange for someone, Serena said, her voice full of confidence. All right, then. You can contact him for me. Tell him not to worry about the fee. I can even hire him on a long-term retainer as our legal counsel until you're ready to take over. Okay, I'll contact him now. Cole, I need you to call me that one more time. My little baby, Cole the Shameless quickly supplied, laying it on even thicker. I love hearing that. I'm so happy. Okay, I'm going to make the call now. All right, thanks for your hard work, baby. Not at all. At the law school, Serena sat on a planter not far from her classroom and dialed a number. When the call connected, she immediately chirped, Hi, Mr. Zhang, it's me, Serena. The voice on the other end belonged to a man who sounded to be in his 50s, his tone warm and cheerful. Mr. Zhang, you're such a busy man. I wouldn't dare bother you all the time, Serena said sweetly. Nonsense, child. Your Aunt Lou and I wish you'd call every day. Now, tell me, is there something Uncle Arthur can help you with? Well, there's a tiny little thing I need your help with, Uncle Arthur, Serena said, explaining the situation with a hint of embarrassment. Haha, don't you worry. I'll arrange for a top-notch lawyer to head over there. He'll meet with you first, then you can take him to meet whoever it is. Let that young man owe you a favor. That's wonderful. Thank you, Uncle Arthur. Come visit your Aunt Lou and me more often. She was just talking about you the other day. By the way, Serena, is this young man a classmate of yours, or just a classmate? A very good classmate. He just started his own business, and it's tough for him to run into something like this. Serena didn't dare say she was his baby. Her family and the Chins would know in a heartbeat. She couldn't let anything slip until the time was right. Back in room 1520 of the Venture Lab, Cole was surprised at how quickly things were moving. He lavished praise on Serena. He'd known her background was impressive. He just didn't know how impressive. He never asked. Some things were best left for the other person to share when they were ready. Pushing would only create pressure. Knowing Serena, she would tell him when the time was right. Ping! A Facebook message popped up. It was from Jasmine. Jasmine. Cole, keep your head up. Employee turnover is normal. Just follow the legal process. Cole's eyes twinkled as he typed back. Cole, I'm so hurt, so sad. Sis, can you comfort me again sometime soon? Crying face Jasmine. And how would I do that? Cole swallowed hard. Cole, I think if I saw you in some lacy, black thigh highs, I'd get my fighting spirit back. Jasmine, is that all you think about? Get back to work. Cole, okay. Cole smacked his lips. Ugh, he'd been too direct. Returning to the office, he saw everyone walking on eggshells, as if they were afraid of upsetting him. It's not like the boss ran off with the money. Why the long faces? He joked. A wave of awkward laughter rippled through the room, but the tension immediately dissipated. Wyatt, let's hire a replacement, Cole said, looking at him. Already on it. I got a guy starting tomorrow. People are chomping at the bit to work here. Wyatt gave him an okay sign. With the salaries Cole was offering, finding talented people wasn't a problem. Programmers from other companies on their floor had even been quietly asking about openings. Though they didn't know the exact salaries, the freedom and flexible hours were reason enough. The salaries of the Headline Today engineering team were confidential, especially those of the 4 founding members, Wyatt, Jenna, Leo, and Marcus. They were tight-lipped, and not even Fiona knew the numbers. The department head salaries were also confidential. The only way the number could have leaked was through Will, the poacher's prize. But the more he leaked, the better. His new boss would just think he was inflating his value to drive up his price. The incident with Will didn't dampen the work ethic of the rest of the team. The following afternoon, Serena arrived with a young man in his early 30s. He was a lawyer from the state capital, with the last name Zhao. He was of average height and appearance, with a gentle look in his eyes that didn't give much away. Since he had traveled all this way to help, Cole certainly wasn't going to be rude. Hearing that Mr. Zhao had spent the whole afternoon on the road, he immediately invited him out for a meal. Serena, of course, joined them. It was clear that Mr. Zhao was extremely respectful toward Serena, bordering on sycophantic. Toward Cole, however, he was merely polite. Cole didn't mind. He explained the situation and handed over the documents he had prepared. All right, just sign a power of attorney form, and you can leave the rest to me, Mr. Zhao said. He didn't drink alcohol, only tea. Then I'll leave it in your hands, Mr. Zhao. Cole felt a sense of relief. The lawyer exuded a calm confidence, tinged with a slight arrogance. People who made a living off their technical skills were often like that, and law was a deeply technical field. After the meal, Mr. Zhao insisted on heading back. Seeing he couldn't be persuaded to stay, Cole bought 2 boxes of decent tea as a gift. The legal battle wouldn't be resolved overnight. All he could do was wait patiently for the results. Mr. Zhao repeatedly refused the gift, only accepting with a smile after Serena said, "Just take it." Cole wasn't fazed by Serena's apparent status. He believed in the old saying, risk it all, and you can even win a princess. He would accept her kindness, but he wouldn't intentionally leverage her background. He had his own pride. Serena still had class, so on the way to drop her off at the law school, Cole said, "When you have time in the evenings for the next few days, could you help me catch up on my English?" He didn't sound very confident. He was so far behind that he doubted tutoring would even help. But he had to at least try before resorting to pleading with the university administration. Right now, he was still just Cole, not Steve Jobs. Even with Headline Today's recent fame, it wasn't enough to make a splash at a prestigious institution like Eastwood, which had produced countless influential figures. Not unless Headline Today made an even bigger breakthrough. Yeah, we can have our tutoring sessions at home, he thought. It's quiet at the apartment, perfect for studying. If you say, "Baby, please help me study," then I'll agree, Serena said, lifting her chin proudly. "Baby," Cole chuckled, leaning in to plant a loud kiss on her rosy cheek. "Please help me study." "All right, I'll do it." A blush crept up Serena's cheeks, and her eyes sparkled with a sweet light. There were students all around them. This guy, he just kissed his baby in front of everyone, and his baby was feeling very shy about it. Their blatant display of affection earned them more than a few eye rolls for passersby. What the hell? Are we invisible? That evening, Cole returned to his dorm early. Both of his tutors had class, so he had to try and study on his own. Frank was clattering away at his keyboard. Lately, he hadn't been going anywhere, just coming straight back after class to write. His book, Stardom Reborn, The Entertainment Mogul, was now being serialized on Headline today. Although it wasn't very long yet, the response had been overwhelmingly positive, and he was already seeing some decent income. Frank was completely immersed in his plot, the pain of his recent breakup buried deep in his heart. Preston and Javier didn't dare speak too loudly, afraid of disturbing the future best-selling author's creative process. But it wasn't the three of them who were distracting Frank. It was his own phone. It kept pinging with Facebook messages. Frank would often pause to reply, his writing efficiency dropping noticeably. Suddenly, he swiveled in his chair, his gaze complicated as he looked at his three roommates. "My girlfriend says she wants to get back together. What do you guys think I should do?" Cole paused, giving him a meaningful look. "You mean your ex-girlfriend?" "What the hell, Frank? Are you a masochist?" Preston, who had been at his computer, spun around so fast his chair screeched against the floor. Javier teleported over. "Frank, do you have a thing for getting cheated on?" I just feel." Frank looked conflicted, stammering. "You feel like you have a cuckold fetish?" Javier patted the top of Frank's head. "You're the one with the fetish." Frank swatted Javier's hand away. "Frank, man, what's so great about that girl that you can't let her go?" Preston said, flicking his hair with a profound expression. "Why not be like me? Free and easy. Single forever, happy forever. Did you two forget about the time we were handing out flyers for you?" Frank retorted with a purse of his lips. "Damn it, dude." Preston and Javier, stung by the memory, decided they had nothing more in common with Frank and retreated to their respective corners. "Cole, what do you think I should do?" Frank still believed the advice of the King of Conquests would be the most reliable. "That's on you, man. How can I tell you what to do?" Cole had no intention of making someone else's decision for them. If things went south later, he'd be the one to blame. "Come on, Cole. Your opinion is really important to me," Frank pleaded, his eyes practically begging for someone to throw him a ladder so he could climb back down into the relationship. Cole considered it for a moment. Frank's new book was taking off, and he could soon add pay-per-view ads to it. He couldn't afford to let him get distracted. "Let me see what she said." Frank didn't hesitate, handing over his phone. Preston and Javier, their interest piqued, scrambled over to get a look. Frank didn't stop them, thinking it wouldn't hurt to let them see his appeal. Being begged to get back together was proof of his charm, right? Cole scanned the chat history. "Lindsay sent you a friend request." "Lindsay? Hey, how have you been?" "Frank, fine. What's up?" "Lindsay, just wanted to talk." "Frank, I'm kind of busy." "Lindsay, I feel like you've changed a lot lately. I still like the old you better." "Lindsay, these past few days, I can't stop thinking about all the time we spent together." "Lindsay, I really miss you." "Frank, what are you trying to say?" "Lindsay, I just wanted to tell you how I really feel. At least this way, I won't have any regrets." "Frank," and then, "Lindsay, you should get back to work. I think I'm going to go for a walk to clear my head." The chat ended there. Cole silently gave the girl a thumbs up. Her skills were formidable. She was seemingly asking to get back together, but in reality, she was controlling every step of the conversation, leaving Frank with the burden of the decision. Judging by his reaction, he was completely hooked. This wasn't some naive freshman. She was a seasoned pro. Cole thought back to the quiet, gentle girl he'd met once and felt a jarring sense of dissonance. "Cole, what do you think?" Frank asked, staring at him expectantly. "This is really up to you. When it comes to personal feelings, who else can say?" Cole remembered a classic thought experiment from his past life. If you could travel back in time, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? The top voted answer was, "It's useless. Your 20-year-old self won't listen to a damn thing you say." If you couldn't even convince yourself, how could you convince someone else? Cole looked down for a moment, then added, "I'll give you a piece of advice. If the conversation turns to fruit, run." "What?" Frank didn't understand. "Just remember it," Cole said mysteriously, not elaborating. He did a quick mental calculation. The iPhone 4 had just been released yesterday. Could it be that she was about to ask Frank to buy one for her? The timing was too perfect. Of course, it was also possible that he, Cole, was projecting his own cynical mind onto this master manipulator. Given Frank's behavior, he would probably get back with her anyway. Saying anything more would be useless. Better to let him walk into it himself. The pain would wake him up eventually. Only a veteran like Cole could see through this kind of routine. Preston and Javier were actually moved, wondering if they had misjudged the girl. They even started to envy Frank, feeling like this was true love, like something out of TV show. Their comments made Cole roll his eyes. At 9:30 p.m., after agonizing over it for hours, Frank left the dorm. He came back the next morning with a blissful look on his face. Cole sighed. Good thing he'd kept his opinion to himself. Otherwise, he'd definitely be blamed for trying to ruin their reunion. The moment he walked into the Headline Today office, a junior programmer named Zeng raised his hand. Cole contacted me last night. I turned him down, told him off, and then blocked him. Me too, Cole. He contacted me too. Finally, Wyatt smiled and said he messaged me as well. I chewed him out and blocked him. Everyone on the engineering team, except for the new hire, Jiang, had been contacted. Even Fiona and the other department heads had been approached. Seeing everyone's loyalty, Cole was genuinely moved. He waved a hand grandly. Team dinner tonight at 6. Everyone's invited. Cheers erupted in the office. A chance to fleece the boss? They were going to eat until they burst. Outside, the sky was a hazy gray. The entire city was shrouded in a thick smog, the air cold and clammy. In downtown Rockford, on a street in the city center, inside an office building. Room 8808, Zenith Capital LLC. None of them agreed? Did you tell them about the offer I made? Ron Carter sat behind his desk, took a drag from his cigarette, and narrowed his eyes. At 43, he was of medium height with a buzz cut. His face, fleshy with experience and cunning, was beginning to show its age. I told them, Mr. Carter, but they haven't realized what they're missing out on yet. Will, the former Headline Today employee, stood before the desk, hands clasped over his stomach, his expression a mix of unease and sycophancy. He looked like a criminal awaiting interrogation. Ron Carter fell silent, taking one drag after another, his face emotionless, giving no hint of his mood. An invisible pressure enveloped Will, making his heart squeeze tight. Only when he had finished the cigarette, stubbing it out in the ashtray, did Carter speak, his voice flat. I'll give you the people and the money. How long will it take you to build a copy of the site? Well, in the middle of winter, beads of sweat formed on Will's forehead. He hadn't been involved in building the core algorithm and architecture. He didn't know much about it, only a general idea of how it worked. He was a computer science major, after all, but to build it himself? That was a tall order. You can't do it. Carter's expression remained blank, but his presence felt as heavy as a mountain. No, of course I can. I'm just estimating the time, Will said, not daring to say no. After a long moment, under the weight of Carter's steely gaze, Will finally mustered the courage to speak. Probably 3 months. I'll give you 2. You hire your own people. Write up a proposal with how much money you'll need. Carter's brow relaxed slightly. Oh, okay, Mr. Carter. Will agreed, his voice strained, then remembered something else. What? Carter glanced up. The 15,000 you promised me. Will's voice trembled. Don't worry. The moment the site is finished, you'll get it, Carter said, a corner of his mouth twitching into a smile. Keep it up. I have high hopes for you. It's not impossible that you'll get some company shares in the future. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I'll get going now. We'll put on an expression of overwhelming gratitude. The moment he walked out the door, a flicker of regret crossed his face. Sensing he was being watched, he quickly schooled his features back into a look of cautious deference. A man in his 30s wearing glasses walked into Ron Carter's office. Did you find anything? Carter asked in a low voice. From his university enrollment records, he seems like a completely ordinary freshman. No background to speak of, the man in glasses replied. First, schedule a meeting with him. If we can buy it for under 50 grand, let's just do it. No need to wait for that waste of space to fumble around. He can't even poach anyone, and he still wants my 15,000. Huh. Ron Carter leaned back in his executive chair and let out a cold, dismissive sneer. A small website like that probably cost less than 30,000 to build. Even if there was someone backing him, it couldn't be anyone significant. If it weren't for the fact that the university district was a good market for small consumer goods, he wouldn't even bother with such a small-time operation. Zenith owned a trading company, and with this website, they could act as the perfect middleman, easily pushing their products onto campus. The man in glasses nodded and left. Downstairs, outside the office building, Will stopped short, his pupils contracting. His girlfriend's hand was resting in the hand of a young man wearing a flashy designer jacket. Roxy, is this your friend? Will forced a smile and called out. The girl, Roxy, awkwardly pulled her hand back and gave the man in the jacket a look. Then she turned to Will. You're done with work? This is a friend from school. We just ran into each other. Seeing the look on Will's face, she quickly smiled and looped her arm through his, purring. You must be so tired, honey. The man in the jacket didn't even glance at Will. He made a call-me gesture to Roxy, then tucked a black portfolio under his arm and walked into the office building. Roxy, your friend seems a little rude, Will said, casting a cold, arrogant look at the man's retreating back before turning to his girlfriend. His eyes were filled with an uncontainable mix of jealousy and suspicion. Roxy was fashionably dressed, with a slender figure and a pretty face. She was considered one of the most attractive girls in her class at Eastwood Tech, which always made Will feel insecure. Don't mind him, he's just like that. Let's go get something to eat. I'm craving steak, Roxy said with a dazzling smile. Her sweet, cooing voice was enough to disarm Will. He let her lead him by the hand to the mall next door. The one thing still bothering him, however, was that the $15,000 Carter had promised him was now delayed. And after his last paycheck, he didn't have much left. Dining out at fancy restaurants and hot pot places every day was taking its toll. Back at the Headline Today office, the next few days were a blur of activity for Cole. The promotions department, led by Yvonne, was making excellent progress, successfully signing up numerous small business owners. They were all selling products that college students used. Arcades, karaoke bars, hot pot restaurants, even soap. Headline Today was planning to host a promotional conference in the large meeting room. All these business owners would be attending. Cole had submitted an application to the Venture Labs Management Committee and received approval. The promotions team then went door to door, delivering official invitations to ensure the business owners' cars wouldn't be stuck at the campus gate. 2 days later, more than a dozen business owners, big and small, arrived at the Venture Lab. Cole had 2 of the upperclassmen act as greeters, leading the owners to the large conference room on the 15th floor. The room was equipped with a projector and was normally used by the other companies for their main meetings. You had to book it in advance to avoid scheduling conflicts. The business owners sat around, drinking tea and exchanging business cards. Yvonne and her team walked in and connected a laptop to the projector. Ms. Wong, isn't your boss here yet? Asked Mr. Shaw from the arcade. Yvonne was the one they were most familiar with, a sharp, capable young woman who was not only beautiful but also decisive and alert. Mr. Shaw, our CEO will be here any moment, Yvonne replied apologetically. Just as she finished speaking, Cole strode into the room. He walked to the front by the projector screen and scanned the crowd with a smile. Welcome, everyone, to Headline Today. My name is Cole, and I'm the person in charge here. Looks of astonishment spread across the faces of the business owners. They had imagined the head of Headline Today in all sorts of ways, but never as a kid who was barely out of his teens. Their contact, Ms. Wong, had never mentioned how young her boss was. The room fell silent. There was no applause, no chatter, but there was no disdain either. The success of Headline Today in the university district was undeniable, and Eastwood University wouldn't let someone just play around in its venture lab. The silence was purely a result of the ingrained prejudice that you can't trust someone who hasn't even grown a beard. I know you're all seasoned veterans of the business world, and you're probably worried if a young guy like me can get the job done, Cole said, addressing their unspoken doubts. But that's not what's important. What's important is what Headline Today can do for all of you. He paused, a slight smile playing on his lips. And if you really feel I'm too young and lack gravitas, you can just pretend I have a beard. The last line got a few chuckles from the middle-aged owners. Beard or not, the kid had humility. Calling himself a young guy like me was a comfortable and respectful way to address these old-school businessmen. Mr. Cole, let's get straight to the point. We're all busy people, said Mr. Summers of Summers Hot Pot, rubbing his chin. Mr. Summers' words are music to my ears. Let's begin, Cole said with a nod. Yvonne had already turned on the projector, displaying the Headline Today interface on the screen. I'll only take 10 minutes of your time, and I'll cover 3 points. Once he was in his element, Cole's eyes gleamed with confidence. He pointed to the numbers on the back-end dashboard. First, this is Headline Today's total user count, 893,354. We've already spread to 30 universities in the Rockford area, and we're continuing to expand. Our daily active user count is 432,036. That's how many college students are browsing Headline Street every single day. The owners were visibly impressed. This was why they were here. This massive student population represented enormous spending power. Yvonne, on cue, pulled up the click-through data for the Orchid Lounge, the Caspian Grill and Buffet, and Viridian Fields. Second, a case study. I'm sure you've all heard of the Caspian Grill. We precisely targeted every single university student with their ads. The moment they opened Headline Today, they saw it. And with the excellent copy from our advertising department, we created a cultural narrative around the product, attracting a wide range of consumers. I'm sure you've all researched the success of Viridian Fields. Their CEO made the decisive choice to partner with us, and within days, a previously ordinary brand was embraced by the student population, and it's still spreading. The sales at Viridian Fields stores have increased more than tenfold. The owners remained silent. No one voiced any skepticism. They'd all done their research. The key was that the ad's headline today created were brilliant. The skincare that every college student is using. It was a line that immediately created brand recognition and psychological buy-in from consumers. Third, we have the strongest advertising team in the business. These 3 success stories are definitive proof. Cole didn't drag it on. Yvonne had surely covered these points before. The owners were here for other reasons, and it was his job to address them. Sure enough, Mr. Summers from the Hot Pot restaurant spoke up. Mr. Cole, how can you guarantee that we'll achieve the same results as the Caspian and Viridian fields? An excellent question, Mr. Summers. Cole had been waiting for this. He answered without a hint of haste. Headline today, can't guarantee your revenue. We can only guarantee that we will promote your hot pot restaurant. Whether the hot pot is delicious or not, well, that's still up to the chef who makes the soup base. The room filled with laughter, and Mr. Summers chuckled along. It was true. Gentlemen, ladies, Cole continued. Headline today is responsible for taking your products, just like we did with the Caspian and Viridian fields, and giving them a soul. He leaned forward. We give your product a unique personality. We give it defining attributes, and we precisely position it in the market. I call empowerment. Personality? Attributes? Positioning? Empowerment. The owners all looked at each other, stunned. These were new terms. It was interesting. All they knew was how to open a store and do business. Faced with this high-level business philosophy, the owners instantly shed any lingering arrogance they had about his age. Mr. Cole, could you use one of our businesses as an example? You know, empower it. It was Mr. Summers again. He was in his 40s, a thin but energetic man. Ms. Potter, who also ran a hot pot restaurant, was much quieter by comparison. Of course, let's use your restaurant, Mr. Summers. Cole was prepared. He'd spent the last few days doing his homework, studying how to empower these different products. In his past life, the word empowerment was on every executive's lips. First, it was about empowering companies, then products. After being processed by a few corporate trainers, it became about empowering employees. Small business owners would use it to motivate their staff, holding meetings just to empower everyone, as if it was the only way to sound high-end. The owners in the room all perked up, listening intently to this young Mr. Cole's lecture on empowerment. Mr. Summers runs a Memphis-style hot pot restaurant, which is already famous in its own right. Cole began, his hands resting on the conference table, his gaze sharp. But there are Memphis-style hot pot places all over the city. The soup bases are similar. The ingredients are all fresh. Why should they choose one over the other? The owners nodded in agreement. This was the problem they all faced. Hey, Mr. Summers, Ms. Potter, what I'm about to say involves intellectual property, Cole said with a smile. It was better to get the disclaimers out of the way now than to regret it later if someone stole his ideas. Don't worry, Mr. Cole. I get it, Mr. Summers laughed. The other hot pot owner, Ms. Potter, also nodded. Have any of you seen the promotional copy in the tea alchemist shops? Cole asked. I have. It's very compelling, said Ms. Potter, speaking up for the first time. A cultured kind of sourness. The arcade owner, Mr. Shaw, chimed in. Haha. The other owners laughed along. That is the soul of the tea alchemist. And you all already know the soul of Viridian Fields, Cole said, pacing in front of the screen like a professor. Now, I'm going to give Mr. Summers' Memphis hot pot a soul in just a few lines. He paused. Memphis girls? Yeah, they taste like this too. A few of the male owners smirked, their minds clearly drifting to things unrelated to hot pot. It was clear the line didn't resonate much with the group. It was just a normal sentence, maybe a little provocative. What good was it? Cole smiled slightly and continued. That spicy kick you just can't stop. The food's in the pot, but you're in my heart. He stopped talking and observed the owner's expressions. They were mostly blank, completely unmoved. Cole was satisfied with this. If these business owners were too forward-thinking, they'd be harder to manage. Do you all think these 3 lines are pretty ordinary? Worse than ordinary, Mr. Shaw said, shaking his head in disappointment. But what if you put these 3 sentences together? Cole's eyes twinkled. And what if you find a girl from Memphis to be the face of the campaign? And what if you pair it all with a spicy but beautiful love story? He watched their reactions. Some were confused, while others looked thoughtful. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget who our customers are. They're college students. Telling them how delicious the hot pot is useless. There are plenty of students from the South here. Don't you think they know what good hot pot tastes like? But if you talk to them about love, you can talk for 3 days and 3 nights. My empowerment strategy from Mr. Summers' hot pot can be summarized as the taste of love. The taste of love. The owners fell into contemplation, occasionally whispering among themselves. A few of them began to grasp the meaning behind it, a spark lighting up in their eyes. Others were still completely lost. After all, some business owners succeeded purely by chance. Mr. Cole, how do you make these 3 sentences achieve the same effect as Viridian Fields or The Tea Alchemist? Mr. Summers asked. The 3 lines together did have a certain charm, but just slapping them on a poster probably wouldn't do much. That depends on the skill of our advertising and planning department. These 3 lines are just one piece of the puzzle, Cole said with a smile, holding up a single finger. If 3 sentences were all it took, what was the point of headline today? He continued, we need the right copy and an effective promotional strategy to tie it all together, to give the Memphis hot pot a perfect soul, to turn it into a hot pot restaurant with a story, to make it a place that bears witness to love. And also, Cole thought slyly, a holy sight for breakups. Mr. Cole, Ms. Potter, the other hot pot owner, held up her phone. I want that empowerment concept. The 3 lines. The other owners were shocked. She was making a decision that quickly. Ms. Potter, I'm the one who asked about it. If anyone's going to take it, it should be me, right? Mr. Summers said, clearly unhappy. Until a contract is signed, anyone can have it, right? Ms. Potter didn't back down. She gave Cole a faint smile. Mr. Cole, I'm a friend of Vanessa Fan's. She has nothing but praise for you. Is that so? Well, please thank Ms. Fan for her kind words, Cole replied with a smile, then looked at Mr. Summers. Mr. Summers, what are your thoughts now? At the crucial moment, Mr. Summers hesitated again. People were often like that, and Cole understood. How about this? You can see how it works out for a first. If you think it's effective, I can design a new campaign for you. All right. Then, I'll let Ms. Potter have it. Mr. Summers finally decided to wait and see. Cole sighed internally. Mr. Summers seemed energetic, but he lacked decisiveness. The love theme was perfect for college students. Ms. Potter, if you'll please follow me to the small conference room, we can sign a contract, Cole said, striking while the iron was hot. He wanted to finalize the deal and create a positive atmosphere for signing more contracts. Let's go. Ms. Potter didn't waste any time, getting up and following Yvonne to the small conference room. Mr. Summers watched them go, his expression a mixture of regret and indecision. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the case studies, you've seen the creative process. Please believe in Headline Today's advertising and promotional capabilities. The sooner you commit, the sooner you'll benefit, Cole said, clapping his hands together. His voice was loud and clear, his eyes full of confidence. He wasn't going to show them any more. It was unnecessary. If he could sign 4 or 5 clients from this meeting, it would be a success. Any more than that would be a bonus. Signing everyone was impossible. Some owners were probably just here to watch the show, unwilling to invest. Some of the owners were still pondering, while others had already stood up. Mr. Cole, one said with a smile, sign me up. You'd better design a great campaign for me. Mr. Huang, rest assured, I already have a preliminary plan for your Korean barbecue place, Cole said, his smile widening. Other owners scratched their heads, saying they needed to think about it. Some got up to leave. Cole didn't neglect them, saying a few pleasantries as he walked them to the elevator. The editorial department got busy preparing contracts. In the end, they signed 8 deals of varying sizes. The largest was from Ms. Potter, who deposited $15,000 right away, undoubtedly influenced by Vanessa Fan's prior success. Cole wasn't surprised. Business was all about connections. He made a mental note to thank Alex again. If it weren't for her, he would never have met Jordan Liu, and by extension, Vanessa Fan. These advertising fees weren't one-time payments. They would need to be topped up periodically. If a client didn't renew, another competitor would take their spot. Once a new wave of advertising hit, consumers would likely shift their attention immediately. Cole hadn't even unsheathed his fangs yet. When the 2 hot pot restaurants started competing, whoever bid higher would get top priority for keywords like hot pot and Memphis. And for all these businesses around the universities, Cole had even bigger plans. It would all require taking things one step at a time, slowly developing. No, conquering the market. The promotional conference was a resounding success. Over $50,000 in advertising fees flowed into the company's account, making Headline Today's winter feel as warm as spring. All the employees were ecstatic. The more stable Headline Today's foundation became, the brighter their own futures would be. As founding employees, they were sure to enjoy the greatest rewards down the line. And the more confident these upperclassmen felt, the more stable Headline Today became. It was a virtuous cycle. The weather grew colder. Just answering a phone call was enough to make your hands go numb. At the law school, during a break between classes, Serena was on the phone with her mother. Serena, you really should actively participate in student organizations. It's incredibly important for your future studies and your resume, and it's a great way to develop your management skills, Helen said, her tone a mix of advice and instruction. The Law Society at Eastwood is an excellent organization. If you can be recognized as an outstanding member, or even better, a key officer, it will be a huge help for your future. Professor Chun told me you weren't very interested in joining any clubs. I know you're grown up now and have your own ideas, and I understand that. But when it comes to managing your life, your mother still has a say. A person can only realize and discover their own greater value by integrating into a group, into a circle of excellent people. You have a long road ahead of you, and the view from the top is much more beautiful. Don't let momentary laziness cloud your vision. Serena remained silent, listening quietly, her gaze vacant as she stared ahead. Serena, are you listening? I'm listening, Mom, Serena replied automatically, her eyes refocusing. I'm not trying to force you. You've always been a smart and diligent child, a very good girl. I just want you to take fewer detours. When you eventually take on a higher-level job, interpersonal skills and management abilities are extremely important. Student organizations are the best training ground. I've already spoken with Professor Chun. You'll join the Law Society as a member for now, and then next year, during the elections, you can run for director of the Activities or Projects Department, which will naturally lead to a position on the Executive Council. Mom, Serena started to speak, but Helen cut her off. You need a complete resume, and joining a student society is essential for that. Participate in more study groups, pro bono legal aid, build a solid foundation for your future. The color began to drain from Serena's face, and her gaze started to wander. Helen was still talking. Even with your uncles and grandfathers to help, you still need to be strong on your own. A solid theoretical foundation, combined with rich practical experience, is what will allow you to reach a higher position and contribute to society. Serena couldn't remember how the call ended. She only remembered saying, "Okay, Mom, I know." Her face was completely pale, her eyes lifeless as she stared into the distance. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed tight. She felt a tightness in her chest, a fluttering in her heart, a wave of dizziness. "Cole," she murmured. She had just started to dial his number when the bell rang for class. She had to drag her heavy feet back to the classroom. 2 days later, the news that the belle of the law school had joined the Law Society spread like wildfire throughout the entire department. The Secretary General of the Executive Council led Serena into a classroom. "Serena, we happen to have an informal debate and exchange event coming up. You can just shadow Director Price and learn the ropes." "Okay," Serena replied. "Secretary, don't worry. I'll make sure Serena gets familiar with our daily operations as quickly as possible," said Jason Price, the Director of Activities, his face a mask of solemnity. A flash of heat in his eyes was quickly concealed. This was the belle of the school, and she was in his department. She had been personally escorted by the Secretary General and was rumored to have been recommended by the Associate Dean, Professor Chun. For a girl who was both beautiful and well-connected, he had to show his best side. He flashed a bright smile, hiding the eagerness in his heart. "Serena, wait here for a moment. I'll gather the members so you can all get to know each other. We'll all work hard and make progress together. What's your Facebook? I'll add you to the group chat so it's easier for everyone to communicate." After a brief hesitation, Serena gave him her name. It was a reasonable request. Under the circumstances, refusing to join the group chat would be inappropriate. But gathering all the members seemed unnecessary and theatrical. "That's too much trouble. We could get to know each other over time," Serena said coolly, her tone flat. "All right then. Come on, I'll show you the exhibition of the events we've hosted this year." Jason made a welcoming gesture with 80% enthusiasm. "I'm sure you're very busy, Director Price. You can just have an upperclassman show me around," Serena said politely. "That? Okay." Jason assumed she was just shy and not used to walking with an unfamiliar guy. What a high-quality girl, he thought. He ended up finding a sophomore girl to accompany Serena. Under the pretext of explaining the Law Society's mission and spirit, Jason tagged along anyway. The sophomore girl wore glasses and was on the smaller, thinner side. She was able to chat and laugh with Serena easily. Jason, who was trailing beside them, tried to interject several times, but received no enthusiastic response. Not wanting to lose his composure, he adopted a mature demeanor, occasionally chiming in with a comment to make his presence known. The exhibition was in a small conference room in one of the law school's multipurpose buildings. 2 walls were covered with introductions, photos, and moving stories from their activities. Here, Jason found his stage. He began to lecture about the founding of the Law Society, its guiding principles, and how crucial the work of the activities department was. The sophomore girl beside them was speechless. He asked me to come, but he won't give me a chance to speak. It's as obvious as a louse on a bald man's head what you're trying to do. But she couldn't say anything without risking offending him. Everyone who joined the Law Society was basically aiming for the same goal. It wasn't like joining the Legal Aid Society. Maintaining good relationships was paramount. Getting a reputation for being on bad terms with the leadership was a death sentence. Listening to Jason's dramatic monologue, Serena's brow furrowed slightly. She tried to remain calm and endure the process. When it was finally over, she politely expressed her thanks. But then Jason said, "Serena, let's go visit the editorial committee next. They're in charge of editing our academic journal, the Eastwood Law Review, and provide strong academic support for all our activities." "Okay, if you're busy, Director Price, you can go ahead. The senior can take me," Serena said, still maintaining her polite distance. "It's no problem. I was just heading to the editorial committee to discuss something anyway. They're on the 4th floor of the Venture Lab building, a bit of a walk from here." Jason waved his hand like a leader, a friendly expression on his face. "On the way, I can tell you more about the upcoming informal debate." Hearing that it was in the Venture Lab, Serena's brow relaxed, and her eyes instantly lit up. "Cole, your baby is coming to see you. Distance is no problem. The editorial committee is the solid backbone of the Law Society. I should definitely go visit and learn from them," Serena said, her tone suddenly much more enthusiastic than before. This surprised Jason, but it was a pleasant surprise. A change in attitude was a good thing. It meant she was proactive and eager to get involved with the society. An easy person to communicate with was an easy person to get close to. The three of them set off for the Venture Lab. Along the way, Jason started chattering again, talking about all the successful events he had organized since becoming director, the shortcomings he had recognized in himself, and the lessons he had learned. The sophomore girl's eyes glazed over, but she had to maintain a listening posture, which was exhausting. Serena, however, was only using 10% of her brain to deal with him, offering occasional huhs and indeeds. The other 90% of her mind had already flown elsewhere. Jason didn't notice a thing. He was completely absorbed in his own list of accomplishments. The envious glances from passers-by made his head spin. This was the belle of the law school, walking with him and chatting so happily. Those other guys must be dying of jealousy. He started to scheme, trying to figure out an opportunity to probe into Serena's background. Maybe he had a chance to marry up. It had happened 3 or 4 times at Eastwood. Those guys had used their wives' family connections to skyrocket to success. If others could do it, so could Jason Price. They arrived at the Venture Lab. The building was shaped like a large L, with the taller section housing the startup companies and the shorter one containing general offices. Jason introduced it with brimming confidence, as if he owned the place. 2 vans were parked downstairs, with people carrying computer cases and other equipment into the building. Listening to their conversation, Serena realized it was new equipment for Headline Today. Seeing that Serena had stopped walking, Jason glanced at the vans, then back at her. He smiled. "The very popular Headline Today is in this building. Have you used it, Serena?" "I have," Serena said with a slight nod. Not only had she used it, she had also helped boost its comments and likes. But there was no need to tell that to an irrelevant person. "I can tell you're not a big fan of it," Jason said, with an I-get-it expression. Before Serena could say anything, he continued, "Students like us from the law school, especially the motivated ones, don't really like that website." "Why? Do you feel that way too, Director Price?" Serena glanced at Jason, then looked up at the building. Jason was thrilled, congratulating himself on his correct guess. As expected, Serena wasn't interested in that kind of thing either. They were so in sync. Their values were perfectly aligned. He put on a profound expression. "I think Headline Today is a platform that prioritizes entertainment above all else. It doesn't align with mainstream values and can easily make people lose their ambition." The sophomore girl next to him turned her head and rolled her eyes. She was one of its most dedicated ambitionless users. "It seems you have a deep-seated hatred for Headline Today," Serena said, her gaze hardening slightly. "What I hate is how it prevents students from focusing on their studies, wasting their time on meaningless pleasure. Alas, I can't do anything to help them. After all, the owner has connections and a background." "Connections? A background?" A series of question marks popped up over Serena's head. "Cole has connections? Since when?" "That's right. Every student knows it. How else could he have gotten an office here?" Jason frowned, his expression grave, as if he were deeply dissatisfied with this kind of nepotism, but felt powerless to change it. He looked like a righteous hero. "Is that so?" "He has connections," Serena's brow furrowed. spreading rumors without any factual basis, making conclusions based on personal preference. This was not the proper way for a law student to think. Jason saw the dissatisfaction on Serena's face and was secretly pleased. She really does share my values. It looks like my path to success is at least halfway complete. This Headline Today website was great. It had finally served a real purpose. Jason looked at the two vans and the two Headline Today guys carrying equipment, and they suddenly seemed a little more pleasant to him. Just as he was thinking about how to show off his abilities next, a sharp pain shot through his stomach. Ouch! Must have been something I ate for lunch. With a pretty underclassman present, he couldn't very well clutch his stomach. He forced a faint smile. Serena, I need to use the restroom. You go ahead to the editorial committee with her. I'll be right there. Okay, you go ahead, Serena said, her eyes fixed on the entrance to the Venture Lab, her expression cool and distant, not even turning her head. After Jason trotted off, Serena smiled at the sophomore. Senior, I need to go upstairs for a minute. Why don't you head back first? You're not going to the editorial committee? The girl asked, surprised. I'll go later. I have something important to take care of upstairs first. Well, I can wait here for you. When Director Price gets back, I'll let him know. Okay, thank you for your trouble. No trouble at all. Serena had never been to the Headline Today office, but she knew the room number. When she arrived at the door of 1520, she saw several upperclassmen busy inside. But she didn't see Cole. Her appearance immediately caught the attention of everyone at Headline Today. Whoa, she's gorgeous. On par with the Director of Operations and the CFO. Whitney Yuan turned her head and asked politely, Hi, can I help you? Oh, I'm looking for. Serena was about to say his name when she heard another female voice from the side. Hey, that one. Are you here to see the CEO? Yvonne had just walked out of the small conference room and saw her. Her brain short-circuited, and she had no idea how to address her. Which one is the main one? I can't get this wrong. If I do, I'll be in for a world of hurt later. Seeing it was Yvonne, Serena smiled. Yes, I'm here to see him. He's in a meeting right now. Come on in and have a seat. Yvonne smiled warmly and took the hand of the girl whose rank she didn't know, leading her into room 1520. Everyone, let me introduce you. This is the Chief Legal Officer for both Headline Today and the Tea Alchemist, Serena Shun. Even though she hadn't officially started, Yvonne knew this position was hers. She was very clear on that. Everyone stared, stunned, before breaking into a wave of bewildered but enthusiastic applause, as if they had just woken up from a dream. They were all in shock. Holy cow, the CEO is something else. He's basically collected the top campus beauties from both Eastwood and Eastwood Tech, hasn't he? Hello everyone, my name is Serena Shun. I'm a freshman in the law school. I'm not a chief legal officer or anything, just planning to help the company with legal consulting in the future. Serena wore a pleasant smile as she scanned the room, nodding at all her new colleagues and introducing herself very humbly. Everything about Cole felt familiar and dear to her. Hello, Chief Shun. I'm Wyatt from the engineering department. Wyatt, as the very first employee, immediately stood up to introduce himself. Hello, Chief Shun. One by one, they followed suit. They were all sharp enough to understand. A freshman, already slated to be the head of legal? The reason behind it was obvious. The CEO's intentions were so clear, they were practically bouncing off their faces. After a bit of small talk, Yvonne led Serena next door to 1521. Aside from the promotions team members who were out on business, she met almost everyone. A short while later, they saw Cole walking past the door with a business owner, likely escorting him to the elevator. Serena's heart filled with joy. He'll be back soon, just a little longer. He's definitely going to want to kiss me. Then she frowned. But there are so many people here. In the hallway, after seeing Mr. Summers off, Cole started walking back to the office. He had seen Serena arrive. He just couldn't greet her with a client present, lest the client feel disrespected. As he approached room 1521, he deliberately walked past it, then sneaked back to the side of the door like a thief. Inside the office, Serena, who was sitting in a chair, puffed up her cheeks, instantly transforming into a pufferfish. I'm not happy. He didn't even see his baby. And if I chase after him, I'll lose so much face. Just as she was thinking this, a familiar head popped into view by the glass door, winking and making faces at her. Serena's mood instantly blossomed. She giggled and ran out. You're such a jerk. The content moderators and customer service staff inside the office felt their scalps tingle. Whoa, this legal officer is a little unpredictable. A moment ago, she was an elegant princess, and now she's a cute, bubbly girl. And more importantly, is there any legal officer who calls their boss a jerk? Did we just learn a top secret secret? Should we be signing a new non-disclosure agreement, Mr. CEO? Only Yvonne's expression remained normal. Seeing the promotions director's calm demeanor, the others instantly understood. Ah, Director Wong already knew. Outside the door, Cole didn't mind being called that in front of his employees. In fact, he opened his arms with a wicked grin. Come on, give the jerk a hug. After spending so much time with her, he understood Serena's true nature perfectly. He wouldn't try to suppress it. If it was accidentally revealed in front of others, so be it. If it caused any trouble, he would handle it. MMPH. No. Serena put her hands behind her back, tilting her head up with a proud, pouting expression. Cole got the hint immediately. He grinned. Baby, come give a jerk a hug. Serena's face lit up, and with a single bound, she leaped forward. Your baby is here.